did you do that? How did you do that?
Welcome back everyone to another ESO build video. Now today is a little bit out of the ordinary for me because usually I present PvE builds and guides for PvE generally, but today is actually for PvP. As you can see, we're in sunny Cyrodiil, the place of arguments, and I'm presenting to you my stam sorc. As many asked in the past, do I have a stam sorc build? Yes I do. For those of you that don't know what that is, stam sorc basically is a sorcerer that relies primarily on stamina as his main resource. As you can see, of course, I have a sword and shield, but that doesn't make me do any less damage as such with this particular setup. But it does allow me to be a little bit tanky. In fact, quite tanky if you apply the skills correctly. Now, first of all, we're going to look at the stats. So we'll have a quick buff up. Make sure we pop one of these. Sitting on 35.7k health, 36k stam, 889 recovery, not too much of a problem, 3.3k weapon damage. Now that does actually go up to about 4. Also 20k, 21 physical resistance and spell resistance, just buff that. Resistor 25 and 26. Now the reason the weapon damage disappeared then is because it is on a cooldown, and it is of course using a certain set which some of you may be familiar with. And where I said you can buff that up even higher, that is based on our weapon. As you can see, we're using the Clever Alchemist. Now if I hit someone with a light attack, a heavy attack, whatever, you get the 348 extra weapon damage, and that'll push this closer to 3.6, 3.7k weapon damage to start with. And then on the back bar, 3.6, 3.7 before you even start, so that'll push to 4, 4.1 in total. Anyway. Also, our crit is very important. We're sitting on almost 50%, well, 47 if you like. Now, how this is applied is not really very tricky. Everything is done for you, but it's all set up for a very good reason. The sword and board ulti we'll get to, the vigor, obviously, you know, that's a heal, and the streak we'll also get to as well. But we're going to push into the skills, and then I'll explain how they work alongside the sets. Nope, wrong way around. We're going to do it the other way. We are going to have the sets first, because you already know we're using Clever Alchemist. So, Clever Alchemist, 5-piece, sharpened sword on the front bar. If you prefer, you can, go for my crap, you can use a known hound if you're up against lots of shield-based targets, because then you're doing higher flat damage, and because you can't penetrate a shield. But that's a choice you can make. I do preference sharpened, but either works absolutely fine. And make sure your shield is also Clever Alchemist as well. You want your 2 weapons on the front bar to be Clever Alchemist. This is very specific. Impen on that. Alchemist gives you max health, weapon damage, spell damage, and when you drink a potion, you increase your spell and weapon damage by 646 for 15 seconds. That time is very important. Also the rest of the body. We've also got Clever Alchemist legs with Impen, Clever Alchemist feet with Impen, Clever Alchemist chest with Impen, and as you can see clearly we have a Tremor Scale heavy shoulder, which I've got a shit trait on. Tremor Scale heavy helmet, which is not a bad trait, but I wanted Impen. This gives you max stam, and I'm going to get to this part in a moment. The rest of the armor is the Tormentor, which I wanted Impen on. I've got sturdy, that's fine. Tormentor again on the waist. Tormentor jewelry with weapon damage on everything. Now this is a bit tricky, but this all does go together very, very well. You saw I had 25k resist. That's actually false. I end up pushing towards 30. And depending on your target, you can get it even higher. This gives you max health, healing received, healing received. Now those both 2 bonuses stack together, giving you more heals from your vigor, from your crit surge, all that kind of stuff, which we'll get to. When you use a charge ability, you gain physical and spell damage, 3.5, and you taunt the enemy for 15 seconds. Why would you want to taunt someone in PvP? Because if you taunt them, Tremor Scale can proc. 50% chance to summon the little dude out of the ground to do X amount of damage to all enemies within 4 meters and snares them for a short period of time. And that has cooldown 4 seconds. Now how does this apply? Obviously you would use Pierce Armor generally to taunt somebody, but with this setup you don't need to do that at all. You can, and you will be doing that, but Initially, you can hit them with it straight away. And this is where these all mix together. Clever Alchemist, of course, we hit that on 15 seconds it lasts. So we pop a potion, any potion, but I'm going to show you what to use. I've got a specific one that I do use. And that gives you extra weapon damage for that amount of time, 15 seconds. The other piece of armor, obviously the Tormentor, which we just mentioned, allows you to keep these resists for 15 seconds and taunt the enemy for 15 seconds, but that's the taunt negates their resists, obviously, because that's what a taunt does. But how do we make this all work together? Oh, also on the back bar we've got a Maelstrom two-hander. You don't actually have to have a Maelstrom two-hander because we're not using Crit Rush, although you can swap out for Crit Rush if you prefer. If you don't have Maelstrom weapon, don't worry, just make a Clever Alchemist any weapon you want. Two-handed maul I prefer because it gives you a resistance sort of debuff, or if you like, it passes a certain amount of resistance on the enemy. A sword will give you more damage, and an axe of course will give you a bleed. So it's entirely up to you which one of the three you use, but I preference this one. The reason I use the Maelstrom is because you get 189 weapon damage on it, rather than the Clever Alchemist bonus, which will give you like 126 or something like that, or 129 on the back bar. So this is slightly higher damage, but if you don't have it, don't panic, you can just use a regular crafted Alchemist one. Now, let's get to the fun part. Your skills. The first one is going to give it away straight away, so we'll just get to the middle one. Actually, we'll do it in reverse order. Bound Armaments, put this on, increases your heavy attacks by 11% damage-wise, which is very, very nice, and also increases your max stamina by 8%, which contributes to our damage and our pull, which we need. Vigor, goes without saying, you need a heal. This is your main heal, lasts for 5 seconds, and reapply it whenever you need to. Taunt, yes, this does proc Tremor Scale, lasts for 12 seconds, debuffing their resistances and doing a decent amount of damage. That's one way to proc Tremor Scale, but we're not going to be actually doing it mostly with this ability. Streak, this is your oh shit, get out of the way button, steam through some enemies, stun them and get away. This, don't spam it because you'll kill your magicka, but use it very carefully. Then here's the fun part. Shield Assault. Now when you hit a target with this, you get a damage shield. Very small one, but you get a damage shield for 6 seconds. Also, you do damage and stun them and knock them down. Now, this is a charge ability. Okay? Now, this set here, the Tormentor, makes you taunt the enemy and give you physical and spell resistance when you charge them. And because you're taunting, Tremor Scale procs. So what you do is you put on a potion, increasing your weapon and spell damage. You charge in. The charge ability itself will give you a damage shield and an increase to resists, and it will taunt and proc Tremor Scale. So your first hit buffs you to crap and also hits the enemy, knocks them down, stuns them and procs Tremor Scale all at once. Then once you're up in their face, light attack, taunt, switch bars, give them a Wreck and Blow if you want, or just finish them off. There's a few things you can do, but basically this is how you work. You need to make sure that's proccing all the time, and you can just in and out with your shield charge. Now if you get in trouble, this dude here, sorry, I'm not going to hit you, obviously I can't, but where he's standing, you can zoom out, get out of the way, and you, because of the distance, you can shield charge straight back in again. So if someone's got you in a root or a snare or something or other, and you're getting screwed over here, get out, turn around, get back in. Or just disappear, sprint a little bit, and zoom off again. A couple of them will give you enough time to recover, block, whatever you need to do. Now, back bar skills, very, very important. I'll get to the ulti in a minute, that's also really overpowered. Same again with the bound armaments, make sure that that's on both bars because you want the buff on both bars. Crit Surge, this is important, keep this up. This will give you major brutality, increasing your weapon damage by 20% for 33 seconds. While active, dealing critical damage will heal you. That can happen once a second. Very, very strong, stacks with healing received, all the shiny stuff, really nice. Hurricane, this is pretty crucial. Not only does it do decent damage and give you very good resists, but it also, and it lasts 15 seconds, again we're hitting that sort of sweet spot for our DPS. 15 seconds for that, 15 seconds for the taunt, 15 seconds for the potion that I'm going to show you in a moment, 15 seconds for pretty much everything, including Clever Alchemist as well. This also can proc your heals, so not only does this do damage, but if it crits, you heal. This is quite important to get passive heals without actually hitting the target. You might be recovering, you might be heavy attacking to get some stamina back, which you will be doing because it's very easy to do with this build. This is very, very strong, so you need to keep it on. Wreck and Blow, Dizzy and Swing even. This is pretty simple, it's a spammable ability. I don't really use it for anything other than halfway through their health bar. Or you can spam it, but watch your sustain. And then when they get below 20%, well, below 50, but hit around the 20% mark, finish them off with this. And anyone in the vicinity, so like 5 meters or so, I think maximum, will receive additional splash damage from the middle target, from the one you're actually hitting. So the lower the health of the target you're hitting, the bigger the hit they will receive, and the bigger the splash damage. It's pretty nasty. You can use the other morph if you want, because it does more damage single target, but I like the splash damage to just get in and smack stuff. Now the 2 ultimates are crucial. This lasts 7 seconds, okay? So what you do, I'll explain what it does first. It makes you block for free. 100% block for free. And it allows you to automatically block everything for 0 cost. And at the same time, all of your one hand and shield ability costs are gone. Which is your taunt, which you'll be using as your main spammable, and your shield assault, which you use to get in, buff, knockdown, proc tremor scale, all that shiny stuff all at once. So these 2 skills cost you nothing. So you pop a potion, you make sure you're buffed first, obviously. You pop a potion, put this on, steam in, and smack the crap out of them. By the time that's run out, you should be executed. Doesn't work? Get out. That's all you got to do. Now you can keep away, you can block, whatever. You can use this as not a gap closer, but to get out. This is your safety button. Use it to get out. Or if you're chasing someone, and I've done this, you got people running away from you with streak. You are never going to catch them doing this because they're going that fast as well. But because shield assault has a 22-meter range and further in certain situations, depending on your buffs, you can actually catch up with them and then shield assault them down and cover some serious ground really quickly. Okay, the other ultimate, this is awesome. If you're sitting on 128 ultimate, pop this. Not only is it going to hit them really, really hard, you will take their resistances, they'll keep it, but you'll take their equivalent resistances and put them onto you. So if you go and hit a tank, you're getting 50k resistances for 8 seconds, and you ignore all you ignore all disabling abilities, including immobilizations and snares. So Dragon Knight running up to you with root, claws, sorry, if you want to call it that, repeatedly, nothing happens. Templar, Ritual of Retribution on the floor, nothing happens. They can't do anything to you. You can't be snared. Just keep whacking them and finish them off while you've got godlike resists. Heal, recover, get out, whatever you need to do. You are tanky as hell if you time it right. Your resources are managed by you. Heavy attack when you need to. Use the block ulti and get free taunts and bashes, whatever you want. Just remember that streak is very important. Don't do this. Don't hit it and then hit it again, because you'll run out shit quick. Just make sure you hit it, count down from 4, then hit it again if you have to. Otherwise it's going to cost you double. Well, 50% more, sorry, my mistake. But it will increase the cost. So it's 3.5k there. You use it twice real quick. It's going to cost you 5.8 for the next one. Don't do that. Just pace it. Keep an eye on your recovery. 3, 2, 1. Use it again. Heal. Get away from people. Get your buffs on. 3, 2, 1. Remember, obviously you can't buff and streak at the same time, so make sure you time it correctly. Recovery's not amazing, but you can use it. Now, what are we missing here? Oh, this is very important. 64 points into stamina. Yes, we are a vampire, and we are using the thief. I should have done that in the first place, but whatever. Okay, now the other skills. This you're not going to need because you're not using any dark magic. You're not using any dark magic there, none there. The only thing you want is this, to reduce your cost of your abilities. That's very important. Not really using any skills. You can use Dark Deal if you want, but I personally don't use it. Bound Armaments, we definitely need that. That's on our bar. So the passives in here is the ultimate cost reduction, which is very important. It makes our sword and board very cheap, and our two-hander ultimate very cheap also. And increases your health and stamina recovery by 20% while you have a Daedric summoning ability slotted. That's our bound armaments. That's giving us some recovery, which is nice. Storm Calling, Hurricane, of course, we've got that on. Crit Surge, Streak. These are really important. Increases your magic recovery by 10%. That's important for keeping up your streaks if you need to get away. Increases your physical and shock damage by 5%. So our physical damage does hit pretty hard. This is ridiculous. When you deal shock damage, or physical damage in fact, when the enemy's 15% or lower, you can proc what is called, I guess, an execute, which basically means everything you're doing has a 6% chance to just annihilate the enemy. And it does happen a lot. So your light attacks, your taunt, your shield bash, your hurricane, any of that stuff, any of that crap at all, or your streak, because it does damage when it passes them. That is lightning damage also, alongside the physical passive, and it can make them basically just die on the spot. You'll kill them. Increases your weapon and spell damage by 2% for each sorcerer ability slotted. We've got 2 on the front bar, and we've got 3 on the back, so we've got pretty high damage. Two-hander skills. You can go through these in your own time. I've gone through most of these. You can put crit rush on, by the way, and this is absolutely hilarious because Tremor Scale, based on the sets we're using, does actually proc from crit rush because it's a charge ability, and the Tormentor taunts when you charge. So if you want to have some fun with that, that works. And of course it critically strikes, which is quite nice. Get all these passives. They're very, very important for recovery, sustain, and of course cost reduction and damage. Get them all. Get them all. One-handed shield, same applies. Get them all. Reduces cost of block, reduces the cost of the abilities, bashing, all that kind of shit. Get them. Shield assault is deadly. Get it. Pierce armor specifically because it reduces physical and spell damage. So if you've got some friends with you that are doing magic damage, that will help them out. You can use ransack, but the tiny resist bonus you get from it, you actually get from bound armaments anyway. So there's no point. I don't think there's any there. Heavy armor, of course. We're using 7 heavy. Get everything. Resistances, max health, constitution passive, which is broken next patch if it comes through from PTS, but it's good anyway. Juggernaut, obviously, that's your max health. This is awesome. The more damage you take, the more damage you dish out. This stacks up to 20 times, and basically as long as you get hit once every 5 seconds, that will continue to stack and it will stay with you. As soon as you stop taking damage for a whole 5 seconds, it will reset. And health recovery, no, sorry, heal and receive, this one is. Increases the maximum stamina and magicka your heavy attacks restore. Don't forget to heavy attack. If you're running short, just get around them, give them a couple of heavy attacks, you'll be fine. Your heavy attacks are just as strong as the rest of your abilities since you're on the sword and board anyway. Or with this, heavy attack and then follow with a wreck and blow. A heavy attack and follow with an uppercut. You know what you're doing. You've been playing PvP enough. Use it. Vampire, very, 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 very important. Max stamina and max magicka recovery increased. Very nice. Undeath, the lower your health, the less damage you take. That is crucial. And also, this is great for PvP because you can sneak really quickly. Now obviously you want to get some points in Legend of Mange so that you've got your stam recovery, your stam cost for sneaking reduced quite dramatically, but I haven't got that up there yet because I just haven't got around to finishing the skill line. But if you can get it, I've got one point in it. Max that out as soon as you can. Open some chests, sell some stolen loot, that will get up there quite quickly. Fighters Guild. I don't have this on because I don't have any Fighters Guild abilities on my bar, but I do use this, which you generate 9 ultimate when you kill undead, Daedra or werewolves. That's quite handy because sometimes you do that. Undaunted, of course, make sure you max out both of these. Get Undaunted 9 because it will push all your stats to the maximum. Support, I'm using Vigor, that's pretty much it. Apart from that, get all the passes, of course, if you can. If you're in PvP, it goes without saying that you're going to need them, and you will eventually, obviously, get them. Imperial, we are an Imperial, of course. You don't have to be, but this is my choice. Increases your max health by 12%, that's pretty huge. Increases your max stamina by 10%, that's massive. And your melee attacks have a 10% chance to restore 7% of your max health. We do melee a lot. Everything, this and your taunts and your swings and this kind of stuff is all melee damage. So you can actually heal while putting pressure on the enemy. So that's very nice. You don't have to be Imperial, however. You can go Redguard, or actually a very good choice is Orc as well. Nice melee damage bonus from them because they get health and stamina. You're not really restricted to race, but just be aware that obviously some get better stam bonus to others, and the more stamina, the more damage you're going to do. Also, a good example of a mixture between DPS and tanky is a Nord. Nord get quite a lot of health, but then they also get a nice bonus to stamina as well, and reduction to damage taken, so that could also be very good. But I preference Imperial just because I think they're overpowered as hell. Now, CPs. This is meant for PvP, so instead of loads of points in resistances, we put it into crit resist. That's actually pretty high, because I think I'm on about 2.6k crit resist. And that will also give you this. Restores health when you are hit with a critical attack. So not only do you resist the critical attack damage by a large percentage, but you also can heal off it once every when is this? I thought it was every 5 seconds. Whatever. When you get hit, you heal. Okay, next tree. Points into thick skinned, just so you reduce some of the dot damage coming in. Points into hardy, of course, obviously, so you reduce physical poison disease damage dealt to you, and also elemental defender, so that you reduce flame, shock, magic, fire, ice, all that kind of stuff. So you want some nice decent resist alongside crit resistance at the same time. And of course, you must have 120 points in this tree, because you are going to get stunned in PvP. You are going to have to roll dodge and break and all that kind of thing. And if you break, this is important. Your next stamina ability that you use in the next 5 seconds after you break is going to cost you 80% less. There's a little bit of sustain for you that's going to help. Sometimes you can actually take advantage of that and get stunned on purpose, but know what you're doing first. No points in here, because honestly I don't use it in PvP unless you want to use this. In which case, take some points out of crit resistance and stick 10 points in here so that you can res and not take so much damage, or failing that, just stay as you are and you'll be fine. This is more my favored passive for PvE rather than PvP, but that's entirely up to you. But for here, I'm not using it. 100 in Warlord, yes, there's 16% reduction to stamina costs. Now, of course, when the patch lands in a month or so, this is going to go away. But as you've probably already seen, when we're using the block ulti, our main two abilities are not actually using any resources whatsoever. And I tested this on the no CP server, and it does absolutely fine. In fact, against enemies that can't sustain very well at all, it puts a lot of pressure on them. This is also going to be nerfed slightly with the next patch, but you're still going to have a decent amount in there, so just pump all that into stam recovery, you'll be fine, and make sure you use your heavy attacks. Last one, Shadow Ward. You can put some in tumbling instead if you want, but I like to block occasionally just to get a few pieces of a little bit of resources back, mostly magicka, so I can steam off and come back in again. But either one of these, 10 points in each is absolutely fine. Failing that, knock this down to 75 and split them up, or just put loads into tumbling. It's entirely up to you. But you do block quite a bit, especially seeing as you've got a shield, and it's pretty handy. You're tanky as hell anyway. 30 in Blessed. This is mostly for the fact that I am actually healing, so I do want to make sure that I get some healing done bonuses, which is quite nice. Also, you get the spell crit there, which is pretty good. So that can actually crit from streak when you go flying past people, which is quite nice. Increases the damage of your light and heavy attacks. Now, I do actually heavy attack quite a bit, especially if I'm running low and the duel's gone on for ages. I'm against a cancerous piece of shit who's just throwing heals out left, right and center, and the fight's going to go on forever until either he or I run out of resources. I'll keep my resources up and heavy attack. This also gives you a couple passives while blocking, and it grants you a chance to return damage. Very handy. And also retaliation, quite nice again. This one is mostly just for flat out damage, because you are going to be hitting aggressively. Increases your physical damage, increases your penetration, so you go through their armor a lot quicker, unless it's a shield target, in which case you may want to put these somewhere else. And then obviously increases your crit damage, and we are using crit damage as a little bit of a buffer because we have a decent amount of crit. The reason we have a decent amount of crit is because we have major savagery all the time, and that is based on our potions, and these are really nasty, especially on the initial attack. Now you can see where all this stuff is slotting together. The shield assault gives you a damage shield, knocks down the enemy, stuns them, whatever, and it gives you 3.5k physical and spell resist from the Tormentor and taunts the enemy, which makes Tremor Scale come out of the ground and hit them even harder. And obviously you want all this to be, and you have a Clever Alchemist as well, which gives you the extra initial damage, and the light attack after, which pumps it up even more to finish them off. Then we have the potions, which also help to your initial burst. Potions are nasty. We want to make sure we get some crits occasionally, right? So we use immovable pots, but not even any very nice ones. You're immune to knockdown and disabling effects for 12 seconds. That goes up to 15, but you need to get medicinal use. And it grants you major savagery, increasing your weapon crit. That will go up to 47 seconds with medicinal use. And of course it gives you stamina and stam recovery. So you can use it in a no shit situation, you can use it at the beginning whenever you want, but all this goes in together. I'm going to show you a quick clip of how this actually works. We'll find a random mob or something or other just to hit, and I'll show you a quick duel at the end. Probably just me hitting someone standing still just to showcase what it does, but it's up to you to get the most out of it. Okay, obviously here we are in Rothgar, my favourite spot. I'm just trying random crap out. And just remember, everything goes together. This buff, your potion, your charge, everything goes together. He's got 120k-ish health, right? So this isn't made for PvE, but this will give you an idea of what to expect. Now, obviously, this taunt, 50% chance procs tremor scale. See that under his feet? There it goes. Cooldown timer should be in now. Watch this. There it is, underneath him. From a shield charge. And of course, my resists go up. 30k across the board almost. Let's do some heavy. Need to get some ultimate up. Where's someone to... Hello. We'll hit these doggies. There's your block ulti. I'll worry about that one in a moment. I've already explained what that does, but we'll show you. Where's something else? Doggies. Come here. Make sure you get these light attacks in. Light attacks are very important. They turn your glyph on. 27k execute right there. Now obviously that's PvE, so PvP that will be halved. So talking a pretty hefty hit there. Not far off a 14k crit. Which execute is someone dead. Most people in PvP, if they're not tanky as hell, tend to sit around 20 to 30k health, maybe 25 on average if they're squishy, and that would wipe them out. Now this is the important part, and that's the rest. Obviously major ward, the charge, and then this 40k on both on the front bar there with the sword and board. Sorry. Now, when you go up against a player, these have got terrible resists. Okay, we're sitting on 30k resist with our buffs on, and these are sitting around 9k-ish. So we added that to our resist. You hit a player who's sitting on 30k, you strip theirs and put it onto yours. It doesn't remove theirs, but it basically duplicates their resist on top of what you have. So if you hit a player with it, they're going to give you around 45, 50k resists, and you're not going to be able to die for a few seconds. And that's when you go nuts at them. So hopefully that'll give you some idea as to how strong that is. Each ultimate is situational, but remember this one makes you immune to snares and improves your resistances a stupid amount, plus also does a decent amount of damage. And this one makes all of these abilities cost nothing. Let's build some ultimate and see if we can just hit this giant with a couple of free shots. It takes 3 ulti a second from a light or heavy attack to build it up, so it doesn't take long. This is cheap as hell on the sorc. Cheap as that. Okay, that'll do it. Buff up. Watch this. Ulti on. Taunt costs nothing. Nothing. Shield charge costs nothing. It's free. Your damage is free. By that point, you've got half your ultimate back anyway. So if you're in trouble, get out. Again, like this. Goodbye, squirrel. Obviously don't overbuff, but I want to make sure they're on. Gotta get that light attack in now. Now of course this is PvE, but you can see where I'm going with it. And we need to pick this up. Now, let's hit someone else with it. Okay, that was just an example of how well it can perform. Yes, I did get wrecked a few times as well, as you would expect in PvP, because that's what happens. But don't take this as a dueling setup, because it's not primarily set just for that. It's for open world as well. Imperial City, Cyrodiil, wherever you want to go, possibly even Battlegrounds when that comes out. God knows, it might perform really bad in there, but we'll see. So far, it works really, really well. Just pay attention to your buffs, pay attention to all the small details that add up to your overall burst. And if you're familiar with PvP already, then this will help you quite a lot. I will link in the description all of the gear sets, where to get them from, also the potion as well, because it's very specific, and any other details that are needed for the actual build itself. Not only will it be in the description, but it will also be on the website as well, which is xynodegaming.com. So once again, thank you all very much for watching. Please do hit that subscribe button, it is free. Also, take a little look at the Patreon page and the website if you get some time. Much appreciated for everyone that's already supporting it, and hopefully get some more soon. So, what the hell is going on here? Someone's getting wrecked by a guard. Anyway, that happens. See you all very soon, and bye-bye.